The story is not about ghosts or vampires, but it is a story for Halloween. And it is definitely one that could keep you up at night. So don't say I didn't warn you. The story, like an heirloom, has been passed down through generations in my family. Again, I cannot verify that, but I do hope to God that that's not the case. But if it is, it must have happened at least half a century ago. My mother must still have been a kid, and my grandmother a young widow. It must have been a time when the Bengali Christian community in our distant Nodia hometown was still a small one, with a smaller church, a smaller parish, and an even smaller graveyard. The graveyard today is big enough to fit a football ground, holding the bones of many of my family members. These graves, a few days after Halloween, on All Souls Day, will light up with candles and incense in remembrance, just like that scene from Coco. But I digress, so let's come back to the story. One of my aunts, or Mashi as we call them, told us cousins this story on a particularly hot night during our summer vacation. We kids huddled around a lone candlelight, and our aunt had insisted on a horror story for entertainment. And after much request and tantrums, Mashi agreed to tell us one. Kintu mone rakhish, she had said, waving a slick wooden hand fan at our faces. এটা কিন্তু সত্যি ঘটনা। এটা সত্যি করে ঘটেছিল কিন্তু অনেক অনেক বছর আগে এই আমাদের রানাঘাটে। The cousins listened to the rest of the story in pin-drop silence. It's about this young girl who was very, very sick, Mashi narrated. She was so sick that all doctors had given up hope. Everyone said that she was going to die, and nothing could be done about that. And then, one day, she did. Her mother went to check on her and saw that she wasn't breathing anymore. She called the doctor. The doctor came and he declared her dead. When Mashi stopped to get a new candle, in the dim light of the now dying one, the cousins looked at each other. Who could say who was scared and who wasn't? The candlelight was so faint. All I know is, later that night, I heard one too many of us crying into our pillows. So, the girl died. Mashi sat down and started the story again, sticking the new candle on top of the old one. That very day, the day she died, her family made all the arrangements and buried her. In Ranaghat's graveyard? Asked one of my younger cousins. Yes, in our very own Ranaghat's graveyard, Mashi confirmed, solemnly nodding. Then what happened? My older sister urged, in a husky whisper. She must have been holding her breath. Then, Mashi continued. The dreams started. Every night. The girl's mother dreamt every night that she was calling out to her from her grave. And she would wake up screaming. You mean the girl in the grave? She woke up screaming? My little cousin gasped, interrupting my aunt, which earned him a punch in the arm from his sister. No, Baba, not her, her mother. She started waking up every night, screaming and writhing in pain, and pleading everyone to dig up her daughter's grave. She insisted that the girl was alive. The pin-drop silence among us cousins was back. Of course, no one believed the mother, Mashi said. They took her to the doctor, then to the witch doctor, even to the village priest for a blessing. But every night she would wake up screaming and crying again. Then one day, finally, the girl's father decided that enough was enough. He would dig up the girl's grave, he decided, and prove it to his wife that their daughter was indeed dead. He thought that that was the only way she could go back to being, well, normal. So then, finally, after much requests and paperwork, the girl's father got all the permissions required to dig up a grave. He then got some villagers and headed to the graveyard the next day, with, of course, his wife along. After hours of digging and shoveling, they finally got to the coffin. It was still intact because it hadn't been that long since she was buried. Bracing up, they started pulling out the nails from the coffin. Because, as you know, coffins are nailed shut. When they finally pulled open the coffin's lid, they found the girl there, still whole and fresh, but very much dead. But there was one problem. Mashi stopped to gauge our reaction. We cousins had turned to stone. The girl, Mashi continued, was not lying in her coffin like she was buried, with her hands clasped and all. Her hands were now on her face, and her eyes were wide open. Her mouth distorted and frozen in a scream, and on the inside of the coffin's lid, there were nail marks, like the ones you would meet if you were trying to claw your way out of a trap. The girl had woken up in her grave, hadn't she? My oldest cousin piped in, her voice surprisingly calm and steady, ringing in the darkness. The doctor had mistakenly declared her dead, and she later woke up in her grave, right? Mashi nodded. Yes, you're right. And that is why she was calling out to her mother from her grave every night. Then what happened, Mashi? One of us whispered, like that kitten who goes back to getting whacked despite knowing how much it hurt the first time. Then what? They buried her again. But this time, the girl's mother no longer dreamed of her calling out from her grave again.